Hello fellas, welcome back to a brand new video. I've came down Paul Linfoot racing.
Better.
And if you don't know who Paul is the man for anything RS500s, whether it's road cars, race cars, restorations, parts, crash damage, selling, anything to do with RS500s, mate.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Even Cosworths, I've noticed you've started selling something a bit different as well. You started selling Escort Cosworths.
Yeah,
I've noticed on your channel, and
I've had some nice stuff. I've had a 2.8 injection Capri in the last few weeks. Mark 1 Escort Bubble Arch, Mark 2 RS2000. Getting asked by people to sell all sorts of stuff lately. Yeah, it's good.
Especially if you don't want to deal with people as well. So I've been selling a Sapphire at the minute, and I've had some right plonkers on the message to me. So
Well, that's why they come. People basically come for security. They don't want people around to their house, and we don't get the messes. Because people think, oh, well, he's a trader, he's heard it all before, he knows all the scams. And we have. You know, when somebody, click, you know, so yeah, we do a bit, quite a bit.
So if you want a car selling, come and see Paul.
I'm your man.
Aye. So we'll have a look around, mate, because you've got some cool stuff in here. This caught my eye, because you don't often see a dusty, well, especially this dusty RS500.
Yeah, well, I've had a long history with this car, really, to make it as brief as I can. I bought this car many, many years ago as a real high-spec car. I don't know whether you remember, there was a thing called 10 of the Best that used to be held at York. And they had a mini track and then drag racing, and you did sort of a bit of everything, and you gained points and then overall winner. And this car used to compete at 10 of the best. It had a carbon fibre bonnet on it, it had centre lock wheels on it.
Did it really?
Yeah, and it was really, really massive horsepower. I ended up buying the car, believe it or not, that's genuine mileage. Because the car had been used for sort of that kind of stuff all its life, it's low mileage.
39,000
Yeah.
miles.
So I bought the car, and I put it back to totally standard. Years ago, I would say probably, maybe about 8-9 years ago. And anyway, I put it back to standard. I sold it to a lad down in Essex. He had it repainted. He had the engine rebuilt, the gearbox rebuilt, the diff rebuilt over time he owned it. And then he sold it on and blah, blah. It's gone through a couple of owners. And the guy who's got it now, he's had it a couple of years, I think. He's used it. Anyway, it wouldn't start, so it got left in his barn. Anyway, he rung me up and said, look, Paul, I don't use it now. Will you sell it for me?
So has this came in for like to be sold?
Yeah, this has come to be sold, and obviously find out why it wouldn't start. Well, we found out why it won't start. The fuel's gone off.
Is that all it was?
Modern fuel, it's gone out, sees the fuel pump up. We took pipe off fuel tank, it's like jelly running out. So there's a good thing for everybody. If you've got this modern fuel in your car, just drain it out if you're going to leave it over winter, because it just turns to jelly. So yeah, we're going to get this on a ramp as soon as we can. Put a new fuel tank in it, new fuel pump, flush the lines out, clean the injectors, get it up and running, and then this will be for sale. But a nice car. It is. It's a lovely car, to be fair.
Oh, it is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's dusty, a steam clean off. It's lovely underneath. All underneath's been restored.
Has it?
It's a nice car.
It is a nice car.
Yeah,
and this is yours. This is your
Mustang.
Mustang.
GT350R.
Big as well, mind, isn't it? Compare that Sierra. This is massive.
They make them look tiny, don't they?
They do.
I love that car.
This is quite a special car as well, isn't it? Left-hand drive.
Yeah, because it's a genuine Shelby. I believe, so I've been told there's only 3 GT350R specs in the UK. Quite a trick car, has diff coolers, gearbox coolers fitted as standard, no back seats in it. It's got no fancy gadgets or anything inside. First production car to have carbon fibre wheels.
Are these carbon fibre, the wheels?
No, I've actually taken the carbon fibre wheels off. They're over there. I've taken them off because they're about 18,000 quid a set.
You want to curb them?
You imagine curbing at one of them and then having to import it from America. So I've taken the carbon fibre wheels off it, but the R spec is like really tricky. It's got a 5.2 litre V8, and this is the only car that this engine's fitted in. You know, like most manufacturers will have, like the V8 in that one, they fit it in the trucks, in the pickups, in everything. This is the only car that has this engine in it.
Really?
It's got a flat plane crank in it, you know, like Ferraris and Lamborghinis have. And that's why the rev's so high, because of the crank. Well, V8s, anybody that knows V8s will say they don't rev. V8s are torquey engines, but they don't rev. So my black one will only rev, I think it's to about 7 grand. This revs to 8 something. So it screams like.
So this is another special Mustang as well, Paul.
It is, yeah. This is the very first ever Shelby S550. S550 means this model, this shape of Mustang. This is the very first Shelby one ever built.
In the UK?
No, anywhere in the world.
Oh, anywhere in the world?
Yeah, it's the first one built anywhere.
I thought it was the first one in the UK.
No, first one built anywhere, because there was a bit of grief over this, really, because Bill Shepherd Mustangs in down south, he was licensed. He's one of the few people that are licensed to build genuine Shelbys. And when the S550, this model, came out, he bought a standard GT. Like all Shelbys start as a standard road car, and Shelby convert them a bit like Chickford converted the 3-door to a 500. So Bill Shepherd got a standard 5-litre GT, imported it into England, because obviously this is a 2015. Well, we didn't get Mustangs into UK till 2016. And part of the deal is with Shelby, you can't fit your own parts. You have to fit every single part they tell you have to fit. So the car was shipped over, and boxes and boxes and boxes of bits, the supercharger, the wheels, the brakes, the suspension, everything was shipped over with the car. But so I was told, they were told you mustn't register the car till a certain date, because Shelby America wanted to register the first one, and he ignored them and registered it. So this was registered first.
Oh, so it's quite a cool car, isn't it? Really, it is.
I love this. Just over 800 horsepower.
Mate, you're spoiled for choice of cars as well, because under here, can we pull the cover back quickly on your...
Yeah. Get your tissues ready. This is, believe it or not, out of all the cars I own, this is the one car I'll never ever sell. Everything to me is for sale at a price.
But this isn't.
Never be for sale.
If there's a fire, this is what you get now first.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'd push everything out of the way to get this out first.
So this is a Mark II Escort RS2000.
It is, yeah.
But it's quite a funny story. I'll leave a link to another video where I'll talk a bit more in depth.
Yeah, because it tells the story. But yeah, it's a very... I like cars, Adam, with a story about them. Standard, like the Mustangs, there's always a story about them. I don't like plain run-of-the-mill cars. Like your RS500s, they've got a story about them. So yeah, watch the video on this car, because this is...
quite a cool car.
I think one day we should probably just do a video on this on its own, get it out, polish it up, get it running, go down road in it.
Aye.
But yeah, I'd never ever sell this car. I've had it just over 20 years, and I've done 10 mile in it in 20 years.
You need to get it out.
I don't drive it though, mate, because I'm frightened to death somebody runs into it. It's never had paint work. But I'm getting old now. I'm an old fart. So I sort of think...
You might as well use it.
Yeah.
This is to me, this is probably the coolest car in here. For me,
Yeah,
this is an Eggenberger RS500. This was originally a Texaco car.
Yeah, that's right. It was Steve Soper's Texaco car.
That's why it's black inside and under the bonnet.
Right, yeah, Soper drove it recently on the 6th, what was it, end of June, early July, there was a big event down at Brands Hatch, and Steve Soper drove this in demonstration.
Mega.
So he took it out twice and give it a good...
Good piston.
Yeah, it was cool, because Steve's a great bloke. He's a really, really nice guy, loves his cars, and he was, he took a bit of persuading, to be honest. Because,
Did he really?
Yeah, simply because it isn't in the Texaco livery.
Right.
Well, obviously, when he raced his car, it was a Texaco car, and then it was repainted in '89 to go to Spa 24 Hour, but the sponsorship changed to Bastos. And because it isn't in his livery and it hasn't got his name on the car, he was a bit... But anyway, he said, look, Paul, I'll drive it for you, because I get on well with Steve. He's a great bloke.
I think this is what I love this, man. I do. Absolutely love it. And I know you've mentioned before you are tempted to put it back in Texaco.
I definitely will.
You definitely will.
I definitely will. For maybe a year, something like that, I'll paint it in Texaco livery, just so I can get my own photographs of the car. I know for a fact if I put it in Texaco and then say to Steve, he'll drive it again, definitely. So cool. Yeah, I would never sell this, but like we said about if somebody walked in and offered the right money, but this would have to be a huge amount of money. I wouldn't even contemplate selling this unless it was a life-changing amount of money. I just wouldn't sell it. But that, I don't care what I get offered.
You'd start selling it.
Yeah.
So this, Paul, is the last Eggenberger shell, what you're currently building into a car. Is it PLR2 you're doing, Paul?
Yeah, this would be number 2. This is quite a special build for us, really. This was When the Sierra program finished for Rudy Eggenberg, who built all the works cars, obviously this was a spare shell that was like maybe 40% prepped, just as a spare shell in case they damaged one of the Sierras, and it never got used. So all the spare parts that Rudy had in his stores, there was mountains and mountains of stuff, and this shell have been sort of passed around the world for 25 years, eventually ending up here. We've got the shell and all the parts, and customers bought the shell and all the parts and asked us to complete the build. So we finished the fabrication on it. We've put the roll cage in it here in-house. It's covered in polished dust when the machine polished it. We put all, you know, finished the fabrication, and luckily, because I've got the Bastos car that you've just seen, we had a car to copy, so we got it absolutely. We've even put the little notches in the roll cage there, look.
For the bolt.
Yeah.
Mate, I've been watching your YouTube channel, and it's fascinating to watch this car get done.
Yeah, well, it's quite a special car. The family of Rudy Eggenberger know we're building it. We're going to put a plaque on it and say built in memory of Rudy Eggenberger when it's built, because he was, in my opinion, the greatest race car builder in the world. So for me to use all his parts and his shell and build what will be the last Eggenberger spec car is quite an honour for me, to be quite honest. I luckily got to meet Rudy Eggenberger before he died, and I actually drove a car while he was looking after it, and it actually, funny enough, made me the last person ever to drive for Rudy Eggenberger.
Really?
Which I drove the Bastos car when I didn't own it. Before I bought it, I drove that car at Alton Park Gold Cup, and Rudy Eggenberger was looking after the car and mechanicking for it. And for me to drive in pits and see Rudy Eggenberger stood there was
amazing.
Was a bit weird. So yeah, a very, very special build. We hope to have this done obviously early next year, and then we're going to go out testing with it, and we've got a very, very famous racing driver who's going to do all the testing in the car for us, and he's I think the owner's going to ask him to race it as well. So
is it top secret at the minute?
Yeah, let's wait.
Right. We'll leave it. Watch
Well,
Paul's YouTube
the deal's
channel.
done. The deal is done, and he's very excited to be driving it, which is good for me, you know, that he's excited about. He's actually driven a car that I've prepped before as this driver, and we get on well. He's a great bloke, really, really nice guy. So yeah, what we might do is actually invite you down when we run that car. And
Definitely,
you can come and see
definitely.
it.
So what's this one, Paul?
This is the one that's been here for quite a few years, really. This car was bought by a good friend of mine who sadly passed away New Year's Eve this year, and we were building it back up for him. We haven't done any paintwork or anything on it. It came here as a shell, and we're putting it back together because he was going to race it with his son, but I'd say sadly passed away. So it's sat here at the moment till all the legalities of his death are sorted out, and then we're going to finish the build for his son Ben. And Ben's going to race that, so that's
Cool.
a project that's sort of 85% done, but we just have to wait and see what happens with his, you know, with one thing and another. So that's another car we're on with.
And this is one of your good friends' cars?
Yeah, Andy
Andy's.
Kirkley. That car has been a long project. He sort of started just before COVID, really, and COVID put a dampener on it and one thing and another. But we're well on with that now, as you can see. All suspensions in, it's all rolling. We've got the plumbing to do on it, put the engine and gearbox in it, all the back axles in with the diffing and everything like that. But Andy isn't a wealthy guy, so we have to do a bit at a time. He saves some money, then we do another stint on it, and he's ran out of money at the moment with what we did on it, because we took that car to the big event at Brands Hatch where Steve drove my car and Andy Rouse actually signed the car. So that
Really?
yeah, that
Cool.
was quite good. So that was good.
So this Paul is this a customer's car what you're selling?
Yeah, I got quite a sad phone call really from a lady who said she'd got this Escort Cosworth in a garage, and her husband suddenly passed away of an heart attack, and they'd had it parked up for 6 years. Obviously couldn't bear really to sell it really, but obviously time had passed, and she said to me, can I sell it for her, because she doesn't want to deal with it and have the hassle of it and that. So we went and picked it up. Me and Steve went for it a couple of weeks ago, and we're just going to obviously put it on a ramp, see what it needs, go and have to recommission the car, put new belt tension and everything on it, make it fit to sell, do any paint work or out it needs, and then hopefully sell it for her and get a...
This is beautiful, this mine.
So you like red Escort Cosworths, don't
Yeah, I
you?
love this.
But we spoke about it earlier, didn't we, Adam? I can't stand red Escort Cosworths.
You don't like that?
I hate them, but I like mallard green Escort Cosworths because I had one for sale a few weeks ago that if people want to see it, it's on my channel, and that was stunning. But a lot of I don't like mallard green.
No, I like this.
Colour's a completely personal thing, isn't it? Like you love this.
Love it, love it.
I wouldn't have a red Escort Cosworth.
Would you not?
No.
I like the cloth in it as well. I like the fact it hasn't got the leather in.
Now, the funny thing is, you know, I used to, every car I had to have leather.
Really?
But the trouble is now, leather's tatty. Because these cars are so old, leather doesn't age very well. And to be honest, as we get older and a bit, you know, you want a bit of comfort, and cloth is
I love
a
cloth.
lot nicer.
I like the wheels on it as well. Absolutely love this.
Yeah, it's a nice car. I mean, you know, it's the typical bling on it, but there's a lot of original parts come with it. The original timing belt cover and bits and pieces. So we're going to put as much of the original stuff back on it as we can, because obviously the more standard they are, the better return you get on them as such.
So it's obviously a small turbo Escort Cosworth.
Yeah, small turbo, which again is not as desirable.
Doesn't sound as cool, does it? When you tell people I've got a small turbo.
It's a bit like your problem, Adam, telling everybody what your small thing, isn't it? You know.
We're not going to that. So the one above Paul is an equally cool car to me. Even though it didn't do so well as a race car, it's got such a cool history and a cool...
Well, it didn't do so bad, you know.
No.
I mean, yeah, it didn't win much of anything, but Carl had 3 podiums with this car. And bearing in mind the budget they were running with this car was like what most people would spend on tyres a year. Carl's a good friend of mine. I get on really well with Carl. He's a great bloke, great driver. Because to be quite honest, I don't think anybody else could have driven this car and got the results that Carl got with it. You remember the famous Brands Hatch race that everybody talks about between Rouse and Soper, where they were swapping positions all the time? This was 3rd.
And this obviously was a touring car, but it did actually run on heavier rally suspension.
It did, yeah.
So they couldn't get the car as low. And
Can't get it low enough. So Carl did. I mean, if everybody takes the mickey out of Carl a bit, because every photograph you'll ever see of Carl in period, the car's on 2 wheels up in air because he had to drive it like an absolute madman. It was the only way he could keep up with anybody, was to drive it like a raving lunatic, to be honest.
Such a cool thing. I love it for that reason.
Well, I tried to buy this car for probably 3 or 4 years, and I'd had 3 or 4 deals on the table with the guy, and every time he backed out, and I thought it was just a bit of a...
Messer.
Yeah. But I did find out later on, really, he wasn't. It's just he didn't really want to part with it. He couldn't bear to part. He had to sell it, but he didn't really want to. Anyway, the funny story with this is when he rang me, when he emailed me, because he was in Italian, like, I want you to buy the car. I sent him a nasty reply back, basically telling him to go and do one, because I was sick of him messing me about. A couple of days later, I got another email back. No, Paul, I want you to have the car, because he knew I was friends with Carl. He knew I would restore it and make it perfect. I sent him another one back, basically telling him to do one again. Anyway, he kept persevering, and he says, oh, you know, we agree a price. And I said, well, look, the problem we've got now is when we had agreed a price before, we were in the EU. Now we're out of the EU, I have to pay import duty on it.
Right.
Anyway, we came to an agreement on price that we were both happy with, and I bought it. And Carl didn't know, I never told Carl.
Is this how it ran, with all the blue suspension and stuff like that? Or
No,
is it
somebody's painted all that, yeah. So
Cool.
we're going to strip this down and not fully restore it. We're going to mechanically refresh everything, tidy it up on the paintwork and that, put the original Duckham stickers and that back on it, paint all the bumpers and that white like they were in period. And then me and Carl are going to race that for a couple of years, have a bit of fun with it, and then I'll strip it down and completely restore it.
So as you can see, Paul is a man of RS500s, and this is actually his first ever RS500, isn't it, Paul? You've just get it, and it's not yours at the minute.
No,
well, it's not yours.
Yeah, I'm trying my best to get it off him, but he won't sell it. But it's here to be. It's been off road for 10 years, believe it or not.
Cool car.
So,
to me, this is quite an iconic car as well, because I used to read all the magazines back in the day, and I used to go on all the Cosworth forums, Passion Forward, and this was always on.
Yeah, I think it was because I was one of the only few people that drove a 500 like I stole it. So yeah, cool car, but you know, yeah.
quite famous for the wheels as well. I think since you first put these wheels on, I think
Everybody wanted it.
everyone wants these wheels. That's just why my car has a similar style wheel.
And that shows how old it is because it's still got my North Yorkshire RS Spare sticker in the back window.
Paul was at Paul used to be great Cosworth.
I did, years ago.
Obviously, it's not really a business thing now, is it? Selling them in for bits, but. So what's this one away, Paul? A 3-door Cosworth?
Yeah, that's a customer, and he bought that. He bought the car, and he wanted a standard 3-door, but he couldn't find a nice one. So he ended up buying a modified one, which is quite a nice car, lovely on the paint and that nice, nice solid shell. And he's brought it to us, and basically wants it putting back to totally standard. So
I think that's the most important thing, isn't it? Now getting a good shell.
Exactly, yeah. So that's why he bought this car, even though it's not really what he wanted.
It's easy to change, isn't it?
Yeah, everything else just bolts on. So what we're trying to do is gather all the bits before we start stripping it. So we'll get all the bits together, and then one big hit, me and Steve will rip it to bits, put all standard bits on, and
taking all the exhaust and
everything. Yeah, everything modified's coming off. The wheels, the brakes, the rad and cool and everything, and put it back to totally standard. And then he's just gonna, use it, go to shores or whatever in it.
Cool. Nice
car though. Yeah, it is a nice car.
Nice colour. I like the Moonstone. To be honest, I like them all.
Yeah.
I like them all.
But funny enough, the guy who sold him the car's buying all the wheels and the brakes back off it.
What brakes is it on?
I can't remember.
Brembo's.
Yeah, Brembo's. Yeah.
So what's this you're doing, Paul? I've been watching this as well on your channel. I've been watching you put the cage and stuff like that in.
The Texaco car that we're talking about, the black one through there, we had it at the NEC show. You were with us, weren't you? And it was before it was painted, and this guy, Steve, came up and says, he was looking around it for ages. We noticed him looking around it. He was talking to Steve. And anyway, he told us he'd got this shell and he'd had a cage and that put in it. But he liked our cage. He thought our cage was better. Anyway, we explained to him that our cage is a full FIA spec, Group A proper cage, but it's still compatible for historics and for modern series because it's got the bigger tubes in some areas. So he asked us if we would take his roll cage out and put a new cage in it. So we agreed to do that, and it sort of spiraled a bit more than that because he's decided now to go absolutely everything full Group A. So we've put the air jack towers in, as you can see there, put a full Group A spec original. This is exactly the same roll cage as in that black car. We've put in the fuel fillers in. We've done all the floor plate welding, the handbrake lever. We've put all the little pieces in here. So it is going to be a full-blown Group A spec shell when it's finished, which another week on it will be done with this.
You're selling these parts as well now, aren't you? The inserts and the bits like this?
Yeah, we've had these all laser cut. So we're selling these now. So what basically, that's your standard pedal box. And when you buy the laser kit part plate off us, that welds on the front. You cut that off and you weld that on the front. And you end up with that for your two cylinders.
Mate, I watched your video and I was like absolutely blown away by. This comes as flat plate.
Yeah.
But you've put all these slits in, then you can fold it and it goes exactly where you need it.
Yeah.
Then you just run your welder along.
Just weld it up.
I was blown away. I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah, and then you just weld it up, run a soft disc grinder on it, and there you go.
Yeah,
look how thick that is, 3mm plate.
Aye.
We don't mess about like some of these manufacturers, tin pot stuff. So yeah, we do.
That's not stainless, is it? That's mild steel.
No, it's mild steel. So we do we're selling full Group A kits. So you'll be able to buy, we haven't done it as yet, but we're having the roll cages. We make these in-house. Everything's made in-house at the moment. But we've had all these laser cut, the air jack towers we cut. We've had all the plates made that blank all the holes off. They've all been laser cut. We've had where these go on where the anti-roll bar mounts. They're all laser cut. So we're going to sell them as a Group A kit, so people can ring us. They can buy that plate that's laser cut, and we're going to sell the roll cages as well.
Amazing.
So people can ring us and buy everything they need to convert a Sierra shell into a full Group A. As I said, this had a cage already in it. So you can see there where the big hole's been cut out was to get rid of a horrible plate.
Down here?
Yeah, there was a horrible plate put on there where the old cage was. And you can see there where we've welded up where the old cage went through the bulkhead.
Just there.
So that's all same welded plate there where the cage went through there.
Yeah, honestly, I really enjoy watching you and Steve
do
the work on the cars. Really do.
Yeah, they turned out to be quite popular, the videos, better than we thought, really. To be
Mate, it's
fair.
interesting to watch. Interesting to watch.
Yeah, good.
So, well, this, is this just being sold? It's getting raffled off?
It's been sold to a raffle company, but they don't know whether they're going to raffle it yet or keep it themselves or whatever. But yeah, this has just been sold, so it'll be collected in a few days.
This belonged to one of your good friends as well, and
Yeah, it does, a famous darts player. He's had it for a while. I restored this car about 7-8 years ago, not for James, for another customer. And when it come up for sale, James bought it. Well, he bought two. He bought this one and another Moonstone 500.
really,
And anyway, he's decided to sell it. He's going to buy some property, I think. So
beautiful car.
he's selling that. So yeah, we've had a deposit. Well, we're just waiting for payment to go through now, the final payment on it.
So what's under the cover then?
This is a bit of a thorn in our side, really. This, Adam,
it?
this is a Moonstone 500 that came here for some work, and we've had a major issue with the engine on it, and we think we'll finally find out what's wrong with it. After the engine's been in and out now 3 times, the cylinder head's damaged, cracked inside, and it's letting oil run down the back of the valve guide and into the cylinder.
So it's smoking.
So it's smoking. So we did a lot of work on this car and then ended up having to take it back to bits, but we're just trying to wait and get a brand new cylinder head from it now, from Smith & Jones. Put a brand new head on it, because if you buy a second-hand one, you don't know what you're buying.
I know. If you've got the money, it just makes total sense to...
the customer's been absolutely great, to be fair. He's been really, really good about it. He fully understands that it's nothing we can foresee. It's just one of them things that, you know, these old cars throw up all these issues. And what had happened, Adam, every time we fixed one thing, something else reared its head. And I think what had happened, there was like a sort of barrage of faults on this car. And we slowly started working through them. And I think we've obviously found now why all these other issues had happened, because the dodgy engine had caused everything else to fail, if you know what I mean. So, but the block's good, the bottom end's perfect. Good. That was rebuilt and that's brand new. So we put a brand new head on it. Done, hopefully.
So the last car in the garage is a Mark II. Is this an RS 2000?
It is, yeah. Now, again, a bit of diversity for us, really. This came about because we had a black RS 500 for sale, and this guy came from down south to look at it, and he liked the car, but it just wasn't for him. And I had
the RS 500?
Yeah, and I had a Moonstone one for sale as well. And he just came out of blue and said, "Oh, you've got a Moonstone one as well?" I said, "Well, yeah, but it's under mezzanine floor. I haven't cleaned it or anything, prepping it for sale, because you weren't coming to look at it." Anyway, we pulled it out and he bought the Moonstone one. And he said he'd just bought this car and he was picking this up on the way home. And he was real complimentary, which was nice. He said, "I like your setup. I like the way you keep everything clean." And, you know, he liked our workshops and that. And he said, "Would you be interested in doing some work on the Mark II?" And it was all just, somebody had restored the car, and like the back seat, they hadn't bolted it in. So seat rattled when you were driving, and there was exhaust was knocking on rear axle, and it was just it was quite a big list.
But just silly little things.
Just a lot of silly little things. So we've been working on this, and we've done, it's been here for quite a while, because as some of you will probably know, I've been in and out of hospital myself. So it's taken a bit longer than we liked. But pop bonnet, it's nice under bonnet, is this?
Where's it? Under the steering wheel on these?
Yeah, it's under here. I'll show you one of the silly little things we've done. You know, like there was this old washer bottle, and they'd used it for the breather kit. So that was fastened to inner wing there, and they just shoved pipes into, they turned it upside down and shoved them pipes into there. And it just looked naff. So we bought that off internet and put some new pipes in and just made it look a lot nice. Yeah, Dave Bogg is in next village from us, and anybody with old school cars will know Dave Bogg is. He's very famous for tuning carburetors and things like that. So it didn't start, it was a bugger to start it when it was cold. So I took it to Dave's, he's put new jets and everything in it and set it up. I tell you what.
Starts mint.
He said 4 pumps on throttle, 54th tanky, boom.
Really?
And I tell you what, it goes like hot snot.
Does it?
It flies. Well, there's a sheet in there. And when it came back, oh no, I put it in file for customer, sorry, 158 brake horsepower.
Really?
Which for a Pinto is quick like.
Was it 2 litre?
It's 2.1.
2.1.
I took it for MOT the other day, and I took Revving Kevin with me. Riley, who we call him Revving Kevin, he's my niece's son, and he just comes and tinkers with us, earns a few bit of pocket money, you know. So get in, Riley, we'll go for MOT, like, and he was buzzing.
Was he?
Grinning all the way there because it was loud and a bit bouncy and a bit, you know, coming to the corner. Yeah, he was loving it, like.
Mate, cool, cool. What a setup. What a setup.
Yeah, it's nice to do something a bit different, Adam, to be fair. You know, don't get me wrong, we love the 500s, we love the Sierras. We've just done a black 3-door for a lad over in Cheshire. He bought that car and we've just done a belt tench, you know, put a standard exhaust back on it for him and bits and pieces. But it's nice to work on something a bit different.
Is that the engine for the... Oh, what's this?
Oh,
Oh, this is Steve's
No,
Sorry.
no, it was Steve's.
Have you bought it?
No, but I'm just going to nick it.
You got to nick it. It's a Cosworth engine all cut away, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've seen this on your channel as well.
It was an engineering college, so they'd cut it all away. So, and to be quite honest,
Is it a real engine?
Yeah, yeah, it's a proper
aluminium
engine.
head and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all genuine engine. But the thing is, I never thought, why do they do that? But I'll tell you what, you know, if you're trying to explain to somebody how an engine works, it's so easy when you can get a cutaway engine like this. And I'll tell you what, for fault diagnosis and that, you can think, oh, well, I wonder how this is getting in here. And you can, you know, it's brilliant.
You can see the head studs and that there.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they're going now.
It's absolutely brilliant.
Especially in the time, like in the late 80s when there was no internet.
Exactly.
And you can
yeah.
and you try to explain an engine to someone and you
So Steve got offered it, so he bought it. So I've just stolen it off Steve, basically.
Good on you. I would have done the same. The alternator and that, man.
No, he just said to me, I can put it in my memorabilia room, you see, it'd be nice in there. And we can take it to shows with us when we go to NEC, and that will take it on, put it on display.
It is cool, mind. It is cool.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's a shame to cut a cylinder head away though now, isn't it?
I know, what do you think about it? I bet that's never been skimmed that head or something as well, and he'd be like, ugh. Yeah.
There's not really much you could use off it either, is there? Like all the blocks cut.
Be all right if you wanted a one-cylinder Cosworth engine, wouldn't it? The clutch will be all right, that's about all.
That's about it.
Even diff, look, they've chrome plated the diff.
Oh, so if you turn that,
Right, still work. It's cool, isn't it?
It is really cool.
I think it's nice. So I'm just going to either have to try and get Steve to sell it to me, or I'm just going to have to murder him.
Keep it.
Yeah, it's cool though.
Right, that's it, fellas. Thanks for watching, and mega thanks to Paul for having us down. And like we said at the beginning, if you've got an old Ford, and you want to sell it, and you can't be bothered with all the hassle and the messes, get in touch with Paul. I'll leave his contact information below. Paul will help you sell your car. And also check out Paul's YouTube channel. I'll leave that linked in the description of this video. And if Paul comments on my video, I'll pin at the top so it's easily found. But yet again, mate, thanks for having us down.
You're very welcome. Nice to see you again.
Thanks for watching, fellas, and I'll catch you on the next one.